The views and opinions expressed by the guest author or speaker during this live session are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Reader's Magnet. The content shared is for informational purposes only and does not constitute endorsement or promotion of any particular belief, ideology, or product.
Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to the RM Hive. You're tuning into Reader's Magnet's featured author interview. I'm Brittany, and today I have the honor of speaking with Sanjay Srivatsa, author of the remarkable and deeply personal book entitled 4 Minutes Past Midnight, A Moment in Eternity. This is more. This is a book that needed it took more than a decade in the making, right, Sanjay? A son's
Yes.
promise fulfilled, a father's secret wartime story finally told. Drawing from original letters, photographs, official documents, and handwritten notes, Sanjay crafted a gripping blend of memoir, history, and cultural travelogue that sheds new light on World War II, Asia, and the Indian independence movement. So, Sanjay, thank you so much for joining us today. It's truly a privilege to be here with you doing this author interview.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Brittany.
Could you do a little introduction about yourself before we go to the main part of the interview?
Sure thing. Yeah, I this book actually spans about 165 years of my family's life. So it goes very deep into the foundation. And I'm not an author. I'm not a writer by any means. Actually an engineer. I worked for many years in the industrial market. But I love storytelling, hearing, reading, and even telling. So this is my second book. And this was actually part of a promise or an oath that I made and the fulfillment of that.
So, Sanjay, with that said, my first question is for those who are just discovering your work here at this live session, what is 4 minutes past midnight, a moment in eternity, all about?
Okay, so this is my belief, and I'm sure this is everybody's belief, that every book must have three components to it. It's got to have a story,
Mhm.
it's got to have a message, and it's got to have a moral, right? And that is truly a complete book, because then people walking away are walking away with different sets of values. So in that same vein, um, it's a story of my father, of his young life, a tumultuous period where he escaped tyranny in so many different ways, coming very close to death, at
Mhm.
least four times. Uh, at the second tier, it's a warning, and it's a warning I'm sending to the readers that, hey, do not just accept history that is in textbooks.
Mhm.
History is not in textbooks. History is lived, and
Yes.
history is lived in different regions of the world. Just because if somebody doesn't look like you or talk like you doesn't mean that they cannot uh, converse with you or understand the same level that you do. So borders, language, culture. If you truly want to understand history of a place, you need to understand the language, right? Because that's where you truly understand what somebody wrote. You need to understand the culture. Culture really significantly impacts, especially in Southeast Asia. You're from there as well as myself. You know how much culture is
Yes.
embedded into history. And last but not the least, the borders. The borders have been moving back and forth, and every time it moves, it creates history. So it's a warning to somebody saying, don't just read a book or something to understand history. You have to live it. Okay. And then you will truly understand history and be able to appreciate why certain things happen. And then the last thing is, of course, the moral. And the moral is, listen, be tolerant. There are just so many
Be
things going on in the world that you don't even know about. Don't make the assumption that you know it all. Be tolerant.
tolerant.
Be Yes,
All
be
right.
tolerant. The next one is keep an open mind. Just because it's something that you don't understand, just because it's a behavior that you're not able to comprehend, doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that it's not right. So you need to do research and find out. And the last thing, and especially this is to to young readers, back when I was growing up and I was a kid, there was maybe two newspapers, and everything they printed, you accepted. Now there are
Yeah,
hundreds and thousands of news information, and it's very hard to
mm,
figure out what is right, what is wrong, right? So
that is
I
true.
always say the third part of the moral is trust, but always verify what you trust.
Definitely.
So those are
So,
the three: story,
yes.
message, moral.
Story. What was it again? Story,
Story,
message,
message, moral.
moral. All right. Which brings me to the next question. Sanjay, this book is the result of a promise you made to your father, right?
Yes.
A promise to tell a story that was kept secret for so long. So, what or who ultimately inspired you to write it, and what made you finally decide that the time was right?
Well, no. First of all, I gave an oath uh, to
Mhm.
do that, and I was also told that I cannot publish the book until 20 years after his demise. Um, Obviously, because there's a lot of information that is sensitive, and
Mhm.
especially closer to the time that he was alive, it could have created a lot of difference of opinion and passionate reactions. So he wanted to protect the family. So he said, just wait 20 years, and history always smooths things out. So that was the second thing I had to do. But then when I really started looking into it, my father, his whatever notes he made, whatever story he told, very much like a travel log. I went there, I went to this place, but really did not have what I call sensory perception. It didn't have all the pieces, the tense, the taste, the smell, the feeling, the emotions. So I had to inject all that. And then there were a lot of parts of the timeline of his story and the real history and what people were telling me that I interviewed, and they didn't mesh. So I had to really crunch to that information to find that one true message coming out. And that took a long time.
Yeah, the the whole process of it, definitely it will take time. All right.
Yes. Good things come when you wait.
Yeah, I agree with that. Patience is very important because
Yes,
the most worthwhile things in life are worth waiting for.
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, with that said, you've mentioned, Sanjay, that your father kept the story secret for decades. He even asked you to, was it 20 years?
20 years. Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
How did it feel to finally bring it into light now? Do you think he would have approved of how you told the story?
Well, he's no more, so he's probably up there smiling. But I do know that a lot of the people that knew of him
Mhm.
knew parts of the story. Nobody knows the complete story, not even my own family, uh,
Oh,
because the journals that my father kept are permanently lost. I'm the only one who's read that more than once, or even once. So
oh,
it's all up here. Okay. So a lot of people who kind of had the peripheral vision, they appreciate knowing the truth, right? They knew that he was
yes.
destined for greatness, and they needed to know where that came from. And so that was part uh, uh, of the result that is featured in this book. Personally, for me, it's definitely checking off an item off my bucket list. It's a very
Bucket
prominent
list.
item, but it's a relief that for almost 100 years, um, people were thinking or mistakenly making wrong inferences of my father's history, and once and for all, I'm finally putting all that to rest, and in
Sanjay,
fact making him a war hero.
yes, of course. With his story, I haven't even read it, but I can already tell. But before I proceed with my next question, Sanjay, I see a comment here by Young One Joseph Kirkpatz. That's quite a name. He commented it. I love to see some of his father's handwritten notes. I believe you showed
It
me.
is there. It's
You,
included all.
you
So
have,
towards the end of the book,
yes.
you have his in his own pen a synopsis, and then of course the various
Do,
documents, all of
yeah,
which
can you show
are
it right
are
now
right,
to
and
the
the
viewers?
I have
I
a
bet they'll
compendium of
appreciate.
all his documents. right here, as you can see, and they're included in this booklet,
Wow.
as well as his handwritten synopsis. As such, this is also included in the book itself. And then beyond that, I also have this relic, which I
The
have restored
camera.
very responsibly. And this camera has a very prominent role in the book. In fact, the book would not exist had it not been for this camera.
Yeah. I really think that's one beautiful camera, and I'm a vintage lover myself. All right.
Yeah, this
So
is, they don't even make that anymore. It's made by Carl Zeiss way back in 1920. It was the top of the
1920.
technology, one of a kind, because one of the things that it does is you can just close it up like this completely, and it doesn't even look like a camera. In fact, the
Yeah,
fact that it doesn't look like a camera is also included in the book.
it looks like a handbag from my
Yeah,
view here.
yeah, yeah. So there is a very interesting anecdote about that as well.
And the best part is, I believe you told me that it still works.
It still works.
You can
Yes,
use it. Wow.
yes,
So with that said, Sanjay, you spent more than 10 years, right? Corroborating
yes.
your father's
Yeah,
story.
2008 through
Yeah.
2018 is what I spent trying to do the research. I talked to over 40, 50 people. And then I actually had to travel overseas. So I did a lot of traveling overseas from here to Southeast Asia, talking to different people, trying to, again, verify and confirm independently the story that I'm putting together.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. What was your research journey like? What was it tedious for you, or did you love every moment of it? What
Well,
tell us.
listen, you don't do anything that you don't love, right?
Yes,
That's one thing I've always maintained. And if it's a task that you don't like, you better start liking it because you need to do it. Okay. But
definitely.
listen, I will be remiss if I didn't mention that it was not frustrating at times. It was tedious and frustrating. Not the fact of going and talking to different people, but you ask 10 people one question and you'll be surprised that you get at least 5 to 7 different answers.
Yeah,
And,
a
and they all may
variety.
sound plausible. So, especially when you're talking to someone about hundreds of years ago or 50 years ago, trying to get them to, conjure up
Mm.
things in their memory. And, people react to events differently. People react to written content differently. And then people store that information in their brains differently.
Mhm. Mhm.
Case in point, my sister and I, who have been very close together all our lives, we will remember very important events, but the dates may be wrong, and maybe the content may be wrong because we have taken that information differently. So that the big
Yeah.
problem for me was everybody had a different view, and I had to combine all of those, crystallize and condense all of those to one common view that did not oppose the others. And to
And
get that approach
yes,
was painful.
and to find out which is actually true.
Well, they're
Right?
all true
Yeah.
in a way.
Yes. It's
Brittany,
just that.
it,
Yes.
it's it's like, if I'm and I just used this euphemism when I was at the London Book Fair, and somebody
Mm-hmm.
liked it. And across the street there was this lovely little cafe that made one hell of a leek soup, right?
Leek
And
soup.
leek soup,
All right.
potato leek soup. And I loved it so much. So I asked them, my God, this tastes amazing. What's in it? They say a whole bunch of ingredients. I said, why are there 23 ingredients? Why are there so much? Because every time somebody makes it, they add one ingredient and they feel there's a reason why. So
All right.
basically, a
I
story
like
is
that.
like a potato leek soup, is that you have to play with different recipes and pick the best portion of each recipe to bring it together into that amazing taste.
Yes.
That's what I had to do.
Yes. So I was about to proceed with my next question, but someone commented here. It's Rick's lose. Well, I know. Hold on.
What's the most surprising thing you discovered doing your research? Is that it?
No,
No.
there's a lot of comments actually. If you can see it yourself,
Yeah. So
I,
Rick's asked,
I,
what's the most
I
surprising thing
was
you discovered
about.
during my
Yes.
my research? Very simple. When I started writing this book, my feeling about history, my feeling about what's printed in the Western sourced history books um, was pretty normal. I accepted that as history. But as I was doing more and more research, and I found deviations from that, and I found culturally and locally that story was being supported, but it's not being reflected at the high level history. So that's where I go to my second tier mission. That is the message. And the message is, don't just accept things that you're reading in a textbook. You need to experience it, especially something like history. People say, yeah, history, yeah, I read a history in this textbook. No, that's not history. History is every second, every nanosecond, it's happening
I
constantly.
agree.
And until you're there, feeling it, feeling the impact, you don't know history.
This one, another comment from a viewer, Sanjay, is by Jesse Flanagan. After spending over 10 years researching your father's story, how did it affect how you see him as a person?
A Superman.
A Superman. Nice.
Only kryptonite can get him. No, it's very simple. And I've known him for a long time, being this way. And I think in a certain way, I'm like that too. Is never take no for an answer.
All right.
There is always a solution. You just need to find it.
My next question would be, Sanjay, is that your father's story intersects with some of the biggest events of the 20th century, from the World War II, the Indian independence movement, to the US 8th Army. Did writing this book change how you personally see that period of history?
Absolutely. Because the last time I learned about history of Asia is when I was in high school, right?
High school.
After that, who studies history? Pretty much, unless you're in history major in college. I went to engineering, so my
Right.
history education stopped at high school,
Yeah.
and all of my history knowledge are from Western textbooks and depiction of history written by the West. And so as I was writing this book, I began to realize that, okay, it can be a source, but you need to dig a lot deeper if you truly want to understand the fabric, how the fabric of time has played itself into the saga that is unfurling in Southeast Asia.
Yes. So your father's story clearly left a profound mark, Sanjay. Are you planning to write a sequel or another book for
Well, I
this?
do have two other books in plan. It's at
Ooh.
this point, it's not a sequel. However, my father's story doesn't end with this book, and a lot of people have asked me, you need to continue. So we'll see. It depends, how this book is accepted in the market, how people like it. I am getting some very very good reviews. I'm uploading all of those on my website at sanjaynet.com. And well, I'm looking forward to my future projects.
Also, I want to ask you this question, Sanjay. What do you think is the difference between a writer and an author?
Okay, so a writer tells the story right. So that
Mm-hmm.
means making sure the punctuation, making sure the pagination, making sure that the paragraph marks are all correct, proofread, no spelling mistakes. So a writer tells the story right, but an author tells the right story.
Wow. Yeah. I like that. Last but not least is I want to know what was your favorite line from your book?
Well, there are several.
Go on.
Unfortunately, the first, second are spoiler alerts. If I read that line, it's going to blow up, the mystique in the early parts of the book. So I
Oh,
will read my third favorite
go
uh,
on.
line, which was on page 297. Um, Prosecutor Reeves rereads my charges and sentence ending with, "And you shall be hanged at 4 minutes past midnight tomorrow until you're dead, dead, dead." While the words echo throughout my cell, and for that matter, the entire block, the import of the Declaration escapes me, but not so in cell block 10. Everyone is sensitized and emotionally triggered when an inmate is read their crime and sentence, ending with the archetypical sentencing vernacular, which means dead, dead, dead. A roar of human voices initiates outside my cell, and the entire block reverberates with loud clangs of metal articles being dragged across the bars in unison, and the inmates screaming, Hindustan Zindabad. That means long live India.
Long live India. Wow. That was heavy, but
It is heavy.
yes.
There are parts that I had four authors, and my wife also, three authors. My wife proofread the book, and they said that there were parts that they had to put it down a little bit to let everything soak in.
Yeah,
And
even
that
me.
that was actually my mission, is that when I write about uh, bad things, I really want to make sure that the person, even in the English in the book, is not today's English. I painstakingly made sure that the English that was used was the British colloquium used in British Malaya at that time. Few people,
Ooh.
especially young, have called and told me, Sanjay, I find it hard to read this book. I said, yes, because I want you to get into a time machine, your
Yeah.
senses, your vision, your hearing, your taste, everything tuned to that time period. To really understand how my father suffered, you need to get into this time machine, right? And so that's why there are poor parts that are quite painful to read. But at the same time, I also make sure that people understand the technology of the time. And so there's a lot of references to that. When I describe a meal, many people have said, Sanjay, I feel I'm eating that. And,
Yeah.
so, and then I've used engineering in writing this book. There were several situations that the
Really?
timeline
How
the
so?
timeline of my father did not match the information, the research I was getting.
All
There were
right, yeah.
breaks in the timeline. Also, his journey, how he described his journey, was not plausible based on the technology available. So I ended up using engineering and calculus to come up with different options of what could have happened and then pick the one that made the more sense.
From what you've said, what I really like is how you chose to make it the English version that I'm at a loss for words. It's about how you made sure it's accurate
Yes.
during its time because after all it's history.
Yes, it's accurate to the period between 1920 and 1947 in British Raj.
I really appreciate that. So Sanjay, we're about to wrap up. Where can our viewers get a copy of 4 minutes past midnight, a moment in eternity?
So as readers magnet say that we share your story with the world, you can get that same story at a variety of places. Obviously, at my own website, sanjaynet.com, under the tab 4 minutes past midnight.
Well,
You
can
can
you
get it
repeat that?
from, beg your pardon?
The website. Can you repeat the website so the viewers can visit?
sanjaynet.com. It's there on your video, right there at the
All right.
bottom left. And you can get it on Reader's Magnet
Mhm.
website. You can get it on online platforms such as Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and a
All
few other
right.
locations. But I think those four will definitely provide enough interested people to be able to download an e-copy or buy a hardbound paperback.
All right. So everybody who's watching right now, you heard it from Sanjay himself. You can get a copy of 4 minutes past midnight, a moment in eternity on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, or at our bookstore, the Reader's Magnet bookstore, or just simply visit his website. So, Sanjay, thank you so much for joining us today. And we really appreciate your dedication in sharing your father's story, honoring it. It's a testament to the power of love, history, and, of course, the written word. So, I'm very sure that the viewers are inspired right now. So that's a wrap on today's featured author interview. To our wonderful audience, again, thank you for tuning into the RM Hive and be sure to check out 4 Minutes Past Midnight, A Moment in Eternity by Sanjay Srivatsa. This has been Brittany, and as we say here in Reader's Magnet, share your story with the world. See you, everybody. Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Brittany. Bye, everyone. Please come to the LA Book Fair.